Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic and a quite extraordinary looking, pair of puzzles that I'm going to be trying for you today. This puzzle has been recommended to us a lot, including by some very, very good setters and solvers. It's called Gemini and it's by Christounet. And I've done Christounet's puzzles on the channel before, and they've always been absolutely wonderful. But it feels like it's been a few months, hasn't it, Christounet? Since we last met. Let me tell you, Sudoku, that's one of the constructors who suggested this one. VikingPrime, another one, and I think this is part of the Zodiac project, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a project whereby a group of constructors. They go from puzzle to puzzle and they sort of set the criteria for the next puzzle. I think it was started by VikingPrime a few months ago. But anyway, this is meant to be wonderful, and we have to do 2 puzzles today, which is very appropriate given Gemini. I'm a Gemini as well, so there's a lot of reasons for me to do this one, not least the fact it's got a virtually 100% approval rating on Logic Masters Germany. But I have read the rules before I turned on the webcam, and I think the idea, you can see the grids are totally identical, and we have to fill in numbers into the circles that are the same in each grid. But in one grid, and you're not told which one, the value in the circle will be double the sort of digit value. So it's something like that is what we have to do. And my primary thought as I read the rules earlier was I have no clue, really close to no clue, how this was constructed. Because it must have been an absolute nightmare to construct, because you can't sort of move things around once they're set. But anyway, we'll think about that more in a moment or two's time. Now, let me firstly, the other thing before we get on with some solving, I have to apologise for my voice. As you can no doubt hear, I am suffering a bit at the moment, but I'm certainly not going to let that distract me from maintaining our record of having done 2 videos a day, at least, since the start of the first COVID lockdown, which is now some years past. So, I'm not going to let a cold to defeat me, but if I do have a sneezing fit or something, I may have to pause the video. I hope I won't, but just to warn you. And I've got a couple of birthdays to do today. Oh, actually, over on Patreon, Mark asked me to mention something too. At least 2 of the solution videos for September's competition are now live. So if you were stuck on any of the puzzles, go over there. You might find the video that you need. And the rest are coming very soon. So look out for those. In fact, the other thing I should mention that I know Mark has done, Mark's already training for the Times Crossword Championship, which is coming up in the middle of October. So we may see some of you there, actually. But part of his training, he decided, was going to be, I think he solved a week's worth of Times crosswords yesterday at speed and recorded himself solving them. So if you want to see Mark going solving at pace, that video will probably be well worth your attention. I won't reveal how long the video is for those 6 Times crosswords, but it was a depressingly short amount of time. Anyway, that's some of the stuff we've got going on over on Patreon. Maverick just flew over. I'm getting discombobulated. Let's do some birthdays. I'm going to start with, I'm going to say, is it Natusha? It could be Natasha, but it's got an extra U in it, so I'm going to think it has a different pronunciation. Natusha. Your friend Nels, anyway, Natusha, wrote to me and said that you watch the channel and you find the videos relaxing and you might like a birthday shout out. So I hope you have an absolutely brilliant birthday today, with, of course, a large slice of chocolate cake with plenty of icing. And then the other birthday is Santiago. Santiago, you've turned 23 today, and I know this because your partner Phoenix wrote to us. and told us that you have been watching the channel since 2018. That's pre-COVID. Good grief. Thank you very much. And the two of you discovered that you both liked Sudoku at a Sudoku tournament at college. That's brilliant. Over there in Boston. Santiago, many happy returns. I hope you have brilliant, brilliant chocolate cake today. And with all that said and done, let me adjust my seat and read you the rules of this vaunted Sudoku, or two Sudokus, Gemini by Christounet. These are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply in both grids, so you have to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box in both grids. I've just realised this is going to... Let me just put a digit in here. I can see that pretty well. Pencil marks might be more of an issue. They are very small. I'm glad I've got my different glasses on. Right, in each grid, the circles contain a complete set of the digits 1 to 9. For each pair of circles in the same position in both grids, the digit is the same. Right, so if this digit was a 1, that digit would be a 1. In one of the grids, the value of the cell is double the value of the digit. In the other grid, the value is unchanged. So if these were both 1s, in one grid, the value of that would be 2, double 1. In one grid, the value would be 1. In the other grid, the value is unchanged. The doublers are not necessarily all in the same grid. It is up to the solver to determine in which grid each digit is doubled. So that is horrific, because even if we found out, say, this was a doubler, that wouldn't tell us that this was a doubler, or indeed all the rest of the circles in this grid were a doubler. It doesn't really tell us anything. Now, there's a couple more rules. It says, digits cannot repeat in a cage. The values of the cells in a cage must sum to the total in the top left corner, except the 28 cage, where it's in the top right corner. Oh, I see. Ah, okay, I understand why that would be the case. So in this cage, these cells sum to 28, or the values of them sum to 28. But you can see if we put the 28 in the top left corner, it would have sort of overlapped with the circle, and I guess that's why it's been given in the top right. So the value sum to the value in the top left corner if given. If the total is not given, okay, so there's 2 there I can see where it's not been given. It still has to be the same total for the 2 cages that are in the same positions in the 2 grids. Right, so these would have the same sum, is what we're being told. Note, as both grids are identical, no answer check is provided because the solved grids could be switched. Yeah, okay, I sort of see that. So imagine this was the grid in which this cell was doubled. Well, imagine that's how we filled this one in. Then this would be undoubled. And that's going to determine... Yeah, so this grid is going to be filled... All the circles will be the same in both grids. So these 2 will be the same, these 2 will be the same. But all the digits, all the rest of the digits might not be the same. But if we switched the doubler over to here, then the whole of this grid would switch this way. So without saying... Yeah, without saying... What you could do, actually, you could create a solution check. If you sort of said... If you said something like, if you want the solution check to work, make that cell doubled in the left-hand grid. Then you could put in a solution check. But it doesn't sound like I'm going to get one of those. So anyway. Oh, now I did snip an example of the rule set. So let's go through this together and see if we can understand it. So, in this example, doublers are in blue, normal digits are in yellow, and the 2 cells cage has a total of 5 in both grids. Oh yes, that's okay, so that's this cage here. And therefore that one. They both have a total of 5. The 17 cage has digits summing to 17 in the left-hand grid. Oh, and I see. So it's the 6 is doubled in the right-hand grid, so you only need 5 more to get to 17. And in the 18 cage, the 2 must be doubled, so it's worth 4, so that goes with 2 digits worth 14. And in the right-hand grid, it's not doubled, so it goes with 2 digits that add up to 16. Yes, this is quite complicated. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now, I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, I can actually see that there is a very small 7 cage there. So in one of these grids, the 7 cage will be 1, 2, 4, won't it? But we don't know. Oh, okay, because I'm treating, if there was no doubler in that cage, 3 different digits that add up to 7 in Sudoku terms would have to be 1, 2, and 4. Now, in the other grid, the digit that's in the circle is going to be doubled. And it has to, okay, so it has to be selected. We have to double a digit from 1, 2, and 4 because this digit is the same in both grids. Yeah, okay, and if you double 2, you've got a problem. Because if I double 2, then these 2 are already, well, in the one that's got the doubler in it, that's already worth 4. So these 2 squares would have to add up to 3, and they'd have to be a 1 and another 2. Right, so the doubler is a 1 in both, well, not in both grids, but this circle is a 1 in both grids, one of which is doubled. Oh, so we're going to have to define this, aren't we, straight away? Let's make this grid doubled and this grid undoubled. So in this grid, these 2 squares are a 2, 4 pair. And in this grid, these 2 squares add up to 5, not involving a 1, so they are a 2, 3 pair. Right. So the digit that looks under pressure to me now is that digit in both grids. Because that digit has to be the same digit in both grids, effectively we know it can't be a 1. We've already found the doubled 1, or the circled 1. We know it can't be 2, 3, or 4, because in one of these grids it's seeing a 2, 3, or a 4. In fact, in both grids it's seeing a 2. But in one grid it's then seeing a 3, and in the other grid it's seeing a 4. So this square is at least a 5. And, well, it is a 5 then. It's a 5. Because in one grid it gets doubled. And if it gets doubled, its value is 10. And it's in a cage that has 3 more cells in it. Which the minimum 3 different Sudoku digits can add up to is 6 if they're 1, 2, and 3. So I don't really know how to. So in one grid, 5 is doubled. These 3 squares are 1, 2, and 3. Ah, yeah, okay. So I don't know which grid that is, I'm afraid, but I can see the implication of that for this square. So let's move on to the 10, this digit, because in one grid, there's going to, you see, it's hard to show. Let's just assume it's this grid, just so I can demonstrate what I'm thinking. Let's say this grid contains the doubled 5. It might be this one, we don't know. But if this is double 5, these squares are 1, 2, and 3. So the minimum value of this square in this grid, and therefore in the other grid as well, because these are the same in both grids, is 4. But remember, it has to be doubled in one of the grids. Well, it can't be bigger than 4, because even if it was 5, which it can't be because we've already had a circle 5, double 5 would require a 0 here. So this is 4 in both grids. Let's get rid of the 1, 2, 3, get rid of the red here because we don't know which of these is red. One of these is doubled and is worth 8 and is going to have a 2 next to it, and in the other grid it's going to have a 6 next to it because it's going to be a normal 4 and it needs a complementary digit that adds up to 10 with it. I really like this. Oh, no, so now, have I broken it now then? Hang on, how can I have a 2? Because I thought 1, 2, 3 had to go in one of these. Oh, I see. No, that's okay. That's okay. Because what's... The grid... Okay, so the grid in which this is doubled... Let's just think this through. If that's doubled, so this is a 2, then this can't be doubled because this would be 1, 2, 3, and we get 2 2s in this row. So in the grid... I'm now wondering if I should not... I might change tack actually, if you don't mind, because there's an interdependence between these two cells that doesn't exist between these two squares. So what I'm going to do, and this might not work, in which case we'll just go back where we were. I'm going to fill in extra options here. I'm going to say I don't know which of these is doubled. I do know each of these dominoes contains a 2. And I'm going to make an assumption now about, well, I'm going to make one of these 5s the doubler. So we'll make this doubled and this undoubled. And now I know these squares are 1, 2, and 3, which means this has to be 6, which means this has to be undoubled, which means this has to be doubled, which means this has to be 2. And now, you see, now we're going to be able to think about these values with something concrete in the grid, because they add up to 11 without using 2 or 4. So they have to involve a 1, otherwise we'd be using 3, 6, 7 as a minimum, which is 16. We only want 11 here, don't we? So do we need... Yes, we need a 3 as well, don't we? If we didn't have a 3 here, because we can't have 5 and we can't have 2 or 4, this would be at least 6, 7 and 1, which is way more than 13. Sorry, way more than 11. It's also more than 13. It's 14. Okay, so these squares are 1, 3 and 7, because they have to add up to 11. And these squares are 1, 2 and 3. And the central cell of the grid now can't be 1, 2, 3. Well, it can't be... oh, see, it's just got to be bigger than... It's got to be 6 or bigger. Because it can't be 1, 2, 3, because in one grid it will... Oh, it can't be 7. Right, so it's 6, 8 or 9. Because in one grid it will see 7. But we don't know which grid yet. Okay, it's not 9. In fact, hang on. In both grids, in both grids there is a 1. Looking at the cells that are not, Maverick's doing a low fly past, that are not the central cell. In fact, in both grids there's also a 3, so the minimum value of purple is 2, 4, 5, which is 11. So the maximum value of the central cell is 6, or it's 12, but we know that in one case that has to be halved, doesn't it? So it is 6. So the middle cell is 6. Now, I think 1, 2, 3. If this was doubled, if this was doubled. The minimum, then it's 12, isn't it? The minimum value of these squares, by Sudoku of all things, would be 4, 5, 7. And 4, 5 and 7 is 16. It's not the 11 that we're looking for. So this has to be undoubled, which means this, in this grid, this is doubled. In this grid, these add up to 11 now, so they are 2, 4, and 5. That's the only way we can make that total work, given what we've got left over. So these squares are 8 and 9. In this grid, let's go back here. These grids, this adds up to 17. Yes, there's only one way we can do that, I think, because we can't use 6. I think that has to be 4, 5, 8. I mean, we could make one less with 4, 5, 7. 4, 5, 7 would be the absolute minimum. But given we only need one more, we can't adjust the 4 or the 5 because 6 isn't available by the 1 that we'd need. So we just have to increase the highest number by 1 in order to find the unique way of creating that total out of what we've got left. So these squares are a 7, 9 pair. Now, what I admire about this so far is it's been so smooth, hasn't it? It's been absolutely lovely. But this might be where we come a cropper. So we've had the circled 1, the circled 4, 5, and 6. So the rest of the circles are from 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Right. Oh goodness, I'm sorry. Now I shouldn't have said it had been so. It's been so smooth to this point. I now can't see really what to do. There. Oh goodness me, I'm sorry. I can't see it at all. We've got this sort of elephant cage here where the trunk is hanging down. Both of these have 9 in them. So this digit Yeah, okay. I'm going to double click this digit and I'm just going to try and do Sudoku on it. We know it can't be 1 because we've had the circled 1. It can't be 2 by Sudoku in the right hand grid. It could be 3, I think. But it can't be 4, 5, 6. So it's either 3. Oh, I see. No. Alright, so no, it is 3. I've understood this. I was about to pencil mark 7, 8 and 9 in this and remove the 9, which I could see was in both grids. But in fact, that's not how this works, is it? Because in one grid, it will share an elephant's cage with a 7, in this one, in fact. And in this grid, it will share the elephant's grid with an 8. This can't be 7 or 8, so this is 3. So now, in one grid, the 3 is worth 6, and in the other grid, the 3 is worth 3. So the value of these cages, whatever we put into them, have to be 3 apart in terms of natural digits. And they've both got 9 in them. So the minimum value of the rest of the digits is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 9. And the triangular number for 7 is 28. So 28 plus 9 is 37. So the minimum value is 37, which means the one in which the doubler occurs, the minimum value of that is 40. Oh, sorry, my nose is playing up now. Feeling I'm meant to be able to deduce something from that. And my naughty brain is not telling me what that thing is. So, okay, so the digit missing from the cage in each case is going to be 3 apart, isn't it? So we know we're either looking at 1, 4, 7, something like that. So it might be 1 and 4 missing, or we're looking at the 2, 5, 8 entropy. So 8, for example, 8 is in this one. So if this one was missing a 5, but that was doubled, would that might work. Or this one's got 7 in it, so that one could have 4 in it, and then this one would be doubled. Something like that is what's going on. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how we're going to get to the bottom of that. 4 can't be in the bottom domino of either of these. Sorry, I'm not seeing this at all now. So, okay, what are the other digits then we've got left now? So we haven't doubled 2. 2, 7s, 8s and 9s. So the rest of the circles are 2s, 7s, 8s and 9s. Now, how do we do that then? We could... Okay, this one is in a domino. So I'm tempted to say this can't be a 9. Because if it was a 9, it would be worth 18 in one of the grids. And the other grid couldn't get to 18 without being double 9. So, alright, so there's no 9 in these squares. Yeah, it might be about 9 actually, because I've seen you can't make this 9 either. If that was 9, in one grid again it's worth 18, and the other 3 digits would have to sum to 4, which is impossible. In fact, if this was 8, let's get rid of 9 from both grids actually. If this was 8, 16, this would have to be a 1, 2, 3 in one of the grids. That's very difficult. It's very difficult. It's actually impossible in this grid, because this square cannot be 1, 2 or 3. I don't know. Okay, now in one grid, the 9 is... Yes. Okay, let's forget about that. I can't do that, or at least not immediately. I can do something in the 28 cages, because I now have deduced that the 9 is in one of these squares, and therefore, in one grid, that 9 is doubled to be worth 18, and there are 4 other digits in that cage. Oh, I see how this works now. And those 4 digits would have to have natural values, and they would have to be, because they're all different, 1, 2, 3 and 4. That's the only way of keeping 4 different Sudoku digits down to have a value of 10. And that means that the 9 is partnered up with a 2, because one of these has a doubled 9, and the rest of the cage is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can't be partnering the 9 with 7s and 8s. So these squares are 2, 9 in each case, and now that can't be 2, and that can't be 2, and that can't be 2, and in one case this is going to be 9, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's going to start getting tricky, this, vis-a-vis Sudoku, isn't it? I can get rid of 2 from that square. Okay, what are the options for this square then? If this is double 8, Ah, hang on. How on earth do you make that work? You can't make that work. If this was double 8, so say what I'm saying is, imagine these two squares were both 8. This square can't be a 1 now, so it's at least a 2. And that's the same for both grids. So the absolute minimum value of this cage, if you put an 8 into the circle, is 16 plus 2, which is 18. And you can't get to 18 in the grid that doesn't have the doubler, for many reasons, not least that you can't put double 9 in it. So this must be 7, I think. The corollary of that is that this digit in the corner is 8. The corollary of that is that I know which grid has the doubled 8, because it can't be this one, because I noticed this couldn't be 1, 2 and 3 before. If this is double 8, these 3 squares have to be 1, 2 and 3 to get to 22, and that's at least 4. So this is natural 8, that's doubled 8. This is a 1, 2, 3 triple. I can place the 1 here, I can place the 3, I can place the 2. Now, what can we do with that? Let's try, well, let's work out the 2 values for these squares, because, well, maybe there's more than 2, but I bet there isn't, because one of these is worth 14 and plus at least 2, so 16. Yes, okay, so actually these squares are 2 and 9, I think. Because, again, let's think this through. If this was doubled, it's worth 14. This is at least 2, which means that the domino is worth 16 at least. Well, it can't be worth 17, because you can't make this an 8-9 pair. So the 7, whichever one of these 7s is doubled, is going with a 2, to make the domino worth 16, and I can make 16 work in the other grid by having a 7 and a plain old 9. So, again, we don't know which way round this goes, but these are 2 and 9. That's great and all, but it doesn't, or it does something in that grid. Then I get a 7 and a 9 in this grid. Oh, which means this is a 2, which means, well, that means this has to be doubled, doesn't it? That's exactly what we just worked out. So that's doubled, this is natural, which means that's a 9, which means that's a 9, and that's an 8, and that's a 9. Sudoku in the right-hand grid. Look, I know what these squares are now. They are 5, 6 and 8 by Sudoku. So these are 1, 2, 3 and 4. And that's not 1. And then in the other side of the grid, what have we got going on there? We've got 7 we can put in that grid. So again, I sort of know what these digits are, 5, 8 and 9. So in the left-hand grid they're 5, 8, 9. In the right-hand grid they're 5, 6, 8. So these digits are 1, 3, 4, 6. Oh, 6. Where's 6? 6 is there. So this is 1, 3, 4. That's not 1. That's not 4 as a result of little old Sudoku. That's not 2. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, no, it's not. Well, it gives me a 2. I know there's a 2 in this cage because both 7 cages had 2 in them. So that's 2. But that could still be 3 or 4, so I don't know whether this is doubled. But maybe... Oh, there's a 3, 4 pair there as well. Ah. Well, that's doing something there. But hang on, I'm just going to look at this grid. Oh, it doesn't do anything in this. Sorry, this grid's totally different. Totally different. Right, I'm going to come back over here. Because in this grid, I've got 1, 2, 3 and 4 as a quadruple in this column. So the only way the 11 cage can work is if it's 5, 6. Which means that's not 5. And this column has filled with 7, 8 and 9 into the gaps. And 9 can't go at the top, can it? Because there's definitely a 9 in the 28 cage already. In fact, whoa. Okay, so now... yeah, now we need to be very careful with this 28 cage, I think. Because remember, the 28 cage that had the doubled 9 in it had 1, 2, 3 and 4. It did not have a 7 or an 8 in it. So whichever one of these is 9 is an undoubled 9. So one of these is a doubled 9, which means the rest of the digits... oh, this is beautiful. The rest of the digits in this cage are 1, 3 and 4, because we've got doubled 9 on this side of the grid with natural 2. In fact, that's what we should do. We should do that, shouldn't we? Doubled 9, natural 2. And then this must be the other way round. This must be normal 9 with doubled 2, which is 13. So we need 15 more in these 3 squares in this grid. And we've got a 7 or an 8. So these... okay, so if this is 8, these add up to 7. And they would have to be a 3-4 pair, because they couldn't be 1, 6 or 2, 5. And if this is 7, these add up to 8, and they'd have to... and that doesn't work. This is so clever. This is so clever, because look, this domino, it just does not work if I make this 7. Because by maths, these add up to 8. 1, 7, 2, 6, and 3, 5 are all not available. So that has to be 8. That has to be 9. That has to be 7. Do some Sudoku, if forced. These squares add up to 7, and they have to be 3 and 4. Which might do something. He says forlornly. I don't know. Okay. Let's go back to... I don't know where to go now. That digit is not a 1 in the right hand grid. I've got a 2, 3... yeah, okay. Look at this column. I've got a 2, 3, 4 triple. Also looking at this 11 cage. So this can't be 2, 9, 3, 8 or 4, 7. And that is also 5 or 6. Which means this is now an 8. It's very weird the way it's sort of... it's similar but subtly different in both both grids. So this is a 7 by Sudoku now, which means that's a 7 by Sudoku. So what do I need in this? Oh, I see. I need 8, 2, 8, 9 into these squares, I think. Now, can we do any better? I don't think I can. I'd love to know which way around these ones go, actually. I feel that that is the big game in town. Oh, yeah, there are similarities. 7 is in that square. Exactly the same logic in the left-hand and right-hand grid. But these are not 2, 8, 9 in this grid. These are 1, 2, 9, I think. Oh, hang on. Where's 2 in this grid? Ooh, that's huge. Where's 2 in the left-hand grid? By Sudoku, it's there, which means that's 9. Now, in this grid, the 9 was undoubled. So that is green, which means that is red. And in this grid, therefore, that's doubled, and this is... so that's the 9. And this is the 2, which is undoubled. How does that not do anything? Honestly. Oh, alright, like this, in the right-hand grid, it gives me a 1, 3, 4 triple. So 5, 6, 8, 9 into these squares. That's not 8 by Sudoku. Right. So how does that help us? Or does it not? these squares in this box are a 1, 9 pair, which means that is not a 1, which means that is a 1. So in this column, I've not placed 5s, 6s and 8s, which have to go into these squares, and that bottom digit is not 8. Oh, sorry. I think this might be obvious and people are shouting at me. I have that's one of my spider senses. That can't be 5. Okay, can we do anything with this 22? These have to add up to 14, all natural. That's at least a 4. So these add up to a maximum of 10. No. That's not it, is it? That is not the logic we're looking for. Okay, so let's try... What do you think? Oh, wait a moment. Right. Okay, I'm going to come to this grid and look at the elephant. In fact, I'm going to make the elephant grey, just because it amuses me. The right-hand elephant does not have a 7 in it. And therefore, I'm going to claim the left-hand elephant doesn't have a 4 in it, because didn't I claim before that the difference between them had to be 3? I did claim that, and that seems to be correct by mathematics, because this must account for the difference. So, we should be able to work out which... because this doesn't have 4 in it, this needs to make up... No, this is naturally higher into cap. Sorry, no, it's not. It's naturally... Oh, hang on. Now I'm completely discombobulating myself. This one doesn't have 7. So this one does have 7. And it's feeling very happy with itself. So that one needs to be doubled, I think. And that one's undoubled. And this one doesn't have 4. So 4 in row 3 of this grid is in one of 2 places. Whoopsie, I just want to put a 4 pencil mark in. So 4 is sort of aligning, isn't it? We can think about where 4 goes in column 4 of the left-hand grid, and it's in one of 2 places. So this grid needs to have a 2 in one of those cells. Oh, I'm not sure. Well, I mean, that is true. Everything I've said there is true. I'm wondering whether I can do some Sudoku trickery, but I'm just not seeing how to do it. Neither... Oh, no, this does have 7 in it, because I was suddenly thinking this one doesn't have 7 in it, but it does, because the elephant's trunk goes a bit lower. No, I can't see. I can't see how to do that. Bobbins. I'm not sure. There might be more we can do with the elephants, but they aren't immediately revealing their secrets to me. There's a 1 in one of those squares. 2 in one of these. I'm about to sneeze. No. No. I refuse. I refuse. I'm not ruining the video. I'm not pausing. There, I've said it. 9. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. So 9 has to be in that domino, because 9 can't repeat again in the elephant in this box. So 9 is... Oh, yes, that's good. So when we got this 2, we got an 8-9 pair here, and I can do that now. So that's 9 and that's 8. So a real question now is, where is 8 in row 3 of the right-hand grid? It can't repeat in the elephant, so it's in one of these 2 squares. And that's totally useless, look. 8 is in this triomino. Could we... alright, let's change tack altogether, because I've just looked at this square, and that's interesting. Let's have a look at this domino. The minimum sum, if this was 8, the minimum sum of this is 11. And I can't get this to 11, even if I make this 6 and this 4. So there is the opportunity there to know that this is always 5 in the left-hand grid. So this is 5, this is 8. So this is 6, this is 8. So there's a 1-8 pair in the left-hand grid. 6 must be... Oh, 6 is in one of 2 places. So 6 is in one of 2 places in the box 7 of the left-hand grid. And the total here is 8 or 9. So the total here is 8 or 9. So this can't be a 1. So 1 in this box is now shifted over to the right. So that's not a 1 in the corner. 3-4 pair means this is a 1. Oh, good grief, it's still being recalcitrant, you know. It's still being recalcitrant. We don't know. Well, I don't think we do. How shall we how shall we resolve any of this nonsense? We could... It might well be that there are cage totals I've overlooked here, and if that's the case, forgive me. So, if this was 4-5 for 9, how would... Oh, we could do that in 2 ways. If this was 3-5 for 8, we could do that in 2 ways. So that's very unhelpful indeed. Very unhelpful indeed. Okay. Is it something to do with the original 7 cage? Can I do something clever with that now? In one instance, this is a 2-3 pair, and in the other instance, it's a 2-4 pair. I can't see a problem with either of those things. These digits are the same by Sudoku. 3, 4, 5, 9. Let's have a look at that. 3, 4, 5, 9 in the left-hand grid. So we can do a little bit of tidying up. It doesn't look like it's doing enough to me. 3 in row 7 of the left-hand grid is definitely in one of those 2 squares. So that corner square is not a 3. So 3 is in one of these 3 positions. As is 2. As might be 4. Oh, yeah, there we go. Oh, that's huge. Where's 4 in the left-hand grid? And the reason I'm excited about that is that's pointing at that square and making it a 3. So that's 3, that's 3, that's 4. That's 3 in the corner, that's 3 in the spotlight losing its religion. We get a 3 in the left-hand grid's corner. But this is now only adding up to 6. We have to double the 1 in that grid. We don't double it in the other grid. Therefore, the other grid's contents are 2 and 4 here. Now this grid, if we look at where 4 goes, in this it is in the 22 cage, along with a natural 8. So we've got 12 digits. So we need 2 more that add up to 10 that aren't 4, 6 or 2, 8. So they're either 1, 9 or 3, 7. If they were 3, 7, that would be 3. Let's pencil mark that. So that would be 3, that would be 7, that would be 4 in one instance. If they were 1, 9, this would be 1, this would be 9, and this would be 4. So this is never 4. That's really annoying. I can't see if that's resolved. Okay. Bother. Okay, so 2 is in one of these squares by Sudoku. So 2 is in one of these squares, not the middle one. Oh, look, this is adding up to 8 now. That's exciting. So let's come back over here. This can't be 4, because 4 would have to go with another 4 to add up to 8. Can we do anything with this? I don't know if we can, actually. What did we really get from getting this was 1, 3, 2 then? Did we get anything more? That's not 3. Oh, maybe this one is the one we're meant to look at. Yeah, that could be right. There's no rule that says I can't have the same exact contents in non-circled cells, is there? So it's absolutely fine for me to have a 3-5 pair here and a 3-5 pair here, I think. Right, so we're going to have to come up with something else. I wish I knew which grid to look in. That would be ideal. It's actually the elephants. They could well be doing things. Oh, I can get 3 in that grid by Sudoku. So that's probably worth having, isn't it? 1 in this grid has to go. Whoopsie, has to go there. Okay, so maybe it's something like this is the way we have to approach it. So 2 in this grid is in one of 2 positions. And 2 does have to go in the elephant, doesn't it? But I think it can go in all of those places. This digit is 5 or 8 by Sudoku. So, what does that mean? That means 6 has to be in one of these. Ah, that's useful. Yeah, that is useful. But this elephant on the left definitely contains 6 because the missing digit from it is 4. That 6 is in one of those 3 positions. That resolves this square. That's 5. That's 6. And now 5 has to be in this elephant because we know it's missing 4. So that's 5. So that's 5. This is a 4-8 pair now. This is a 1-8 pair, so 8 in this column is in a domino. Oh, so close. It's in a domino. Actually, we know these 3 digits now, don't we? They are all, they're the missing digits. So they're 2, 4, and... No, there's no 4 in it. 2, 6, 8 is what they are in this grid. Now, can we get rid of anything useful from that? I can get rid of 8 from that square, so it's not quite good enough. So the rest of the row is 1s, 4s, 9. Where's 9 in this row? It's got to be there. So that's 9, that's 1. This is a 1-4 pair. So 4, oh no, oh bother. I was going to pencil mark a 4 down there, but we've already got it somehow. Have I? I've only just realised. I think I've done all my. I've done all my numbers, my circles in both grids. That's extraordinary. I've really underwhelmed in the right-hand Sudoku grid, haven't I? In fact, what are those digits then? 289. 289. So this isn't 2, and this isn't 8. But can we do any better than that? I'm not sure. Right. We've got a cage here that we know something about. Look, 9 plus 4 or 9. So it's either 13 or 18 is the total here. 30, oh, there's loads of options, I think. 13 or 18. 13. 13 is difficult, actually. How would we do 13? No, you can't do 13. It's a bit weird. But you can see if this was a 1, there's no option for these two squares to add up to 12. And if this is a 3, these can't add up to as little as 10. The minimum they can add up to is 11 if they're 5 and 6. So I think this might have to be a 9. I'm just going to think that through again because I don't really trust it. 13. If this was 13, how would I do it? You can't do it. You can't do it. So that's 9. So these squares get resolved a bit. Okay, yeah, look, that's doing some things to these squares. These are now 4, 6, and 7 in this grid. So these squares are 5 and 9, which means that isn't 9. I don't believe it. It doesn't do anything. Okay, let's go back over here then. So what did we work out? This is now 18, so this has to be 18. Well, that can't be a 1, because if it's a 1, it doesn't get big enough, does it? We can't make these two squares add up to 17. So this is a 2, 3, 4 triple. That's a 5 by Sudoku. This is a 1 by Sudoku. There's a 3, 4 pair in this column. Is that a surprise to us or not? Probably. Not sure it is, actually. So we need 1, 7, and 8 here. We need 3, 5, and 6 here. This isn't 3. This isn't 8. 3 can't repeat in its own cage. There we go. The elephant comes to our rescue. Now we know what these digits should be, because we know this one's missing 7, don't we? So they have to be low, 1, 2, and 4. I think I'm going to have to just pause and deal with blowing my nose, but we're not really at an impasse, so I hope that's okay. 1 second. Right, my apologies. I'm back. Hopefully they won't get interrupted again by my naughty nose. So 5, 6, 8 here. We can get rid of the 4 from this square. We can get rid of the... Oh, hang on. I've got nothing pencil. Oh, 1, 7, 8 there. That's not 8. Can we... Oh, this must be resolved somehow. Let's try... Well, hang on. Let's actually deal with this a bit further. So we worked out this was 18, didn't we? So this is 3. That's 6 and 9 to add up to the remaining 15 we need. If it's 4, oh, it could be 5, 9, or 6, 8. Can that be 6 ever? No, that would not get us high enough. Wow, doesn't do it at all, does it? Wow, no, it doesn't. It just doesn't. Let's try. Goodness, I don't know. We might have to look. Actually, I don't really know where I want to look. This cage looks incredibly empty in both grids, which doesn't feel... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, good grief. Right. Look at this column and this row. What's that digit? That's extreme. Christounet, how could you do that to me? That is a naked single, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It could be 7, but it can't be 8 or 9. That's a 7. which does get rid of a 7 pencil mark. Hang on, so this is actually a 4 by Sudoku now. That's exciting. Right, let's tidy up our corner marks and see what that means. So that means this square is 8 or 9. So this cage has quite a big total. It's at least 16, isn't it? But this, oh, this could be way more. That could be very large, actually. All right, where's 1 in this box? That's a very legitimate question. It's got to go here. So what do we need in the rest of this row? 2, 5, 6. Ah, still, it's not resolved. But we can, I think it's chocolate tea. No, not quite chocolate teapotted, but we can do a little bit of tidying up. The total for this is either 16 or 17 now. Well, okay, that is great. Because if this is 16 or 17, how can you put 9 here? If I put 9 here, this cage is adding up to at least 18, because it would be 9 plus the 8 that I've got pencil marked in it, plus at least another 1, which actually I couldn't put in. It would be at least another 2, because I can't put 1 in here if I put 9 there. But anyway, that's by the by. This would add up to at least 18, and this cannot add up to 18. So that is not where the 9 goes in this grid. It goes here. Yeah, that does absolutely diddly squat. 9 is now in one of those 2 squares. In box 7, I don't believe it. Oh, that was mean. I got excited about that. Okay, so no, all right. So we're going to have to think of something else. There's a 3 in one of those squares of the right-hand grid. It would be very useful to know another digit that was in this cage. I'm wondering if the peculiar symmetry is going to help me. I'm not loving that idea, I have to say. I still haven't resolved. I know this is a natural cage. I suppose if that's 2, 6, that resolves this 2, 4, doesn't it? If that's 3, 5, that would be 4, 6, 8 minimum, which is perfect. That gets us to 18, which is what we want. Right, so where do we look now? I don't know. 2, 4 here. So I get I've got a 2 pencil mark there, so that's a 1. That's something. We'll take it. So this isn't a 1. Can we get any more joy out of that? I don't know. I can't see how. If this was a 7 in this column, this would have to be a 7 or an 8. This would be a 7-8 pair in effect. Again, that doesn't seem too bad, does it? What should we try? We could have a look at... And which grid should we try it in? That's another question we need to grapple with. I don't know. Let's try 2, 6, 7, 9. That's a 7. Okay, I can do some more in this grid by Sudoku. That's actually quite helpful. Surprisingly enough, 9, 8, 2. This is a 5 in the corner. That is useful. Okay, I've got somewhere here. I've got a little bit of traction in the left-hand grid. 2, 3, 4, 8, 9. So this is a 4 by Sudoku. This is an 8 by Sudoku. I've got a 9 looking up here. So this cage is worth 17. So this cage is worth 17. So the other two digits that go along with the 8 add up to 9. And they're not 1, 8, and they're not 3, 6. So they're either 4, 5, or 2, 7. Oh, so nearly impossible to put digits in. I think both 4 would have to go here. 5 would be up here. 2 would have to go here. This would be a 7, 8 pair. Can't quite disprove it. Alright, let's go back over here then. So this isn't 2. What are these digits? 3, 5, and 7. Yeah, that's a naked single 3. So that's a 5, that's a 7. So this is not 3. That is not 6, look. Using the power of Sudoku. So we place a 6. We have 4 6s looking at this bottom box. I've got a 1, 4, 8 triple there. So that is not 1. So this must be 2 or 3, and it can be. This is a 1, 4, 8 triple as well. So that's not 1. So that's 3. That's 2. That's 1. This is 3. No 3 in the corner in this grid. Right. Okay. So this grid is much more tractable than the other one. 2 and 4 we can place in this column. So that's 2, that's 4, that's 4, that's 5, that's 5, that's 9. We're going to get some idea about this cage, aren't we? We need to place 5. No, we don't. We need to place 7 and 9, which we can. And they go in. And I get left... No, I do. I thought I was not going to get a deadly pattern because I thought this would be an 8 or a 1 to disambiguate this. But no, we do get left with a deadly pattern of 1s, 4s and 8s, by which I mean that, you know, we can't determine the order of these unless we're going to have to use this grid's total for this tetromino. Now here we've got 20, at least 21. We either got 21 or 28. So that's, well, there's so many options for this. That's distressing, actually. That is distressing. Okay, so we're going to have to, but surely all of the work I've just done on this grid is going to help me. He says 30, 41, that's 41. So this one should be 38. I just want to double check the maths works. 7, 24, 35, and double 6, 41. Perfect. Yeah, that's right. So we did get the doublers the right way round. That's not a 6, look, because of this 6, so that can't be a 5. But again, this is a chocolate teapot triple. It's not resolved. 9 is in one of those 3 squares at the bottom of column 5. 5. That's interesting. Where's 5 in this box? I don't know, but it does seem to have to be in the same positions. I've got 2 pencil marked. So this is a 2, 5 pair, and now the rest of this column needs to contain 6s, 7s and 8s, with this not able to be 8. Oh, that's so distressing. That was almost a good thought, wasn't it? I don't think you can ever put 6 in this cage. Didn't we work this out? It's an 8, and then it's 2 digits that add up to 9 that are either 4, 5 or 2, 7. It's not 6, 3. So this is 6. And, oh goodness only knows what these are. No, 3 is in one of 2 positions. Can we do better? Not sure. Just not sure. Okay. 4 is there's definitely a 4 in this cage, but we already knew that. Unfortunately, we already knew that. Let's make sure we pencil mark it so we keep track of it. And we're getting totally different pairs over on... Well, no, we are. They are very different. The two grids result, even though, you know, you get the same numbers, it's really thrown off what we get in each grid. It's amazing. Imagine trying to construct this. Okay. Could we do something with Sudoku? Yes. Where's 3 in this box? Oh goodness, that's huge. 3 in this box is in this domino, so that's a 2. Ah, that gets me my 2 and my 4 figured out. Now, what did this have to add up to? 8, so that's a 6. So that's a 5. Come on, that must do something. It's going to give me these digits at the bottom of this column. They are a 3-5 pair now. So these haven't got 5 involved in them. So I see. So this is 8. What was this? 18. Oh, lovely. These have to add up to 13. And there's no way to do that unless they're 4 and 9. So that's 4, that's 9, that's 4, that's... Ah, hang on. It didn't go off. I don't understand that at all. Anyway, that is 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion again. This is 6, this is 8. That's very, very peculiar. So the computer doesn't think that's a corner of the grid, but it did think that one was. It did go off when we put that one in. It does. It goes off, but you sort of goes down the grid. Normally, doesn't it explode inwards? I don't know the mystery of what Sven's able to do with this software. It's fabulous stuff, but I don't understand it. Okay, well this is exciting now because 9 in this box is in that cage. So now, what do I need this to be? Oh, it's 22, isn't it? Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, well I need these to add up to 5. So they can't be 3 and 2. There's no possibility of a 2 going in the cage. So these have got to be 1 and 4. And that's resolved. So that's 2 and that's 4. That feels like it might help us. No, apparently not. 3 and 7. So that's 3 and that's 7. 1, 7, 5, 6. That's definitely not 2 anymore. There's a 2 in one of those 2 squares. Okay, let's try these digits then. That can't be 9, I can see that. These have got to be a 1-8 pair. Oh, that's very similar to the other grid. Okay. No, I still can't do anything clever there. Right, let's try over here. Ah, that's a 1. So that's 8, that's 7, that's 1. So this column has not had 4, 5 and 6. Oh, well that's a 4 then, naked single. So that's an 8. And hang on, don't we know the total of this, I think. Yeah, 17. That doesn't work. Oh, it does work. It does work with a, thank goodness for that. It works with a 5. Had a absolute brain meltdown there. Right, okay, so these are 6 and 7. And what does that mean? It is all going to come down to this cage, I think. These are 2, 6 and 7. And that's not 6. Good grief. That's not 9 anymore, so I get a 9. I think I've got all the 9s in this this grid over here. Okay, yeah, we can do that. We can do this one then. If this was an 8, this is adding up to 28, and you can't make 4 different digits in Sudoku add up to 28 if they don't include a 9, because 8, 7, 6 and 5 only add up to 26. So that's a 1. So that's an 8. That's an 8. That's a 4, that's a 4, and that's a 1. And I've done this grid, but I have very much not done this one. So 21 is the total here. It must have an 8 in it if it doesn't have a 9, surely. Is that wrong? No, that might be wrong, actually. If this... no, it isn't wrong, because if this wasn't 8, it would be 1. And then these 3 digits have a maximum value of 5, 6 and 7. And we wouldn't get... with 18 plus 1 is not the required 21, is it? So this is 8. This is 1. This is 5. That's going to do it. There we go. There we go. Come on. Well, actually, I thought that would do it. That felt like a big breakthrough. Can we do maths then? These have to add up to 13, 26 here. 35, these have to add up. This is gorgeous as well. Right, I'm going to tell you a secret, something I share with only my very favourite people. And if you're watching this video, of course you're one of my favourite people. Oh, some people have asked about t-shirts with, or sweatshirts with that sort of slogan, if you can call it that, on it. We have got a design, I believe, now. So I might be able to share that with you soon. Anyway, coming back to this. The secret is that a complete row of a Sudoku, because it contains the digits 1 to 9 once each, sums to 45. And therefore, let's think about that in the context of this row. These add up to 13, because the whole cage adds up to 21, and this is an 8. So these are 13. 4 and 9 are 13, so that's 26, plus 1 plus 8 is 35. So these two squares here, those two, add up to 10. Well, if this was 5, this would be another 5 then. That won't work. So that's 3, that's 5. That's got to be a 7. Therefore, that's a 3. Well, that must do something. Yeah, that's 5 now by Sudoku, so that's 2. We need 3 and 4 in the bottom row, which we can put in. We need 6 and something. 2, is it 2 and 6 into those squares? Oh, let's check the maths of this. It does work. They do add up to 13, and that 6 is going to be helpful. So 6 and 2. 2 and 4. 7. 7, 6, 2. 7, 1, 1, 3, 6. Is it correct? I have no idea. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't include the solution, so we don't know. Oh, that is so spectacularly clever. Christounet, take a bow. We should give double bows for you. I don't know how you made that. Do I understand it any better now, having solved it? So you have got to put... You've put circles... No, that's horrifically difficult to do, I think. Because every time you add a clue, it's got to work in both grids without breaking either. Ooh, that is a difficult thing. Gemini. We have finished it. It's a long video. I apologise for that. It might be my my cold-ridden brain. Forgive the voice. I'm sorry about that. And thank you very much if you're still watching. And do leave a comment. We like the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.